These are my favourite ways to power up your driver. There's a real mixture. Some of them might seem small, but here's a fact. They have a huge impact on giving you extra yards consistently. So let's get straight into the video. Let's start with thinking about pressure. And what I mean by that is what you're putting into the ground. And you just got to think about it in the right order. Now we're doing this first tip, we're at La Cala. This is the 5th hole and the Asia course. So it's par 5, and you know what? Powering your driver down here definitely makes the approach shot with water down the left so much easier. So the ideas I want you to think about here is, let's imagine we had some weight and pressure in the ground. When we're starting, we feel quite heavy, like our feet are planted, okay? We want to then have the idea that we're sort of corkscrewing out the ground on the way back, so we're getting a little bit lighter. And then as we start down, we want to get heavier, and then just before impact, we want to get lighter. So let me repeat that again. The ideas would be, our starting point, we're nice and planted, we're solid in the ground. We want to get lighter, heavier, lighter. And if you look at all the top drivers right now, Rory being one of them, Bryson being another, at that point of impact, they're actually off the ground. Now, for me, giving advice to a club golfer, that's nothing I would advise in the sense of don't try and be off the ground, but work to the idea to power up your driver of starting nice and planted, working light, getting heavy, working light. And that's a great way to transfer so much more energy into the club head and therefore into the ball, hitting it way further. I want to talk about grip, and I think a lot of people miss this point when we're trying to power up our driver. Let me show you this, right? If I place this grip in the palm, it will really limit how many levers I can use in my golf swing. The less levers I have, the less speed I have. So watch, right? This is in the palm, quite aggressively in the palm, to be honest. If I make a practice swing, I really struggle to set this wrist. I am losing power. I'm also losing control of the club face. However, if we learn to get the club in the fingers, now look how I can set this club. I can really move my wrist in the right way in order to create a second lever. Now with a second lever, I've now powered up my game. I'd also say in terms of control, that's going to give us so much more control of this club face. And if we're on this hole right here, I mean, look at this. Bunkers, houses, we certainly want power, but we definitely want control too. So a little trick that I would do on every single drive, this is so easy to do. Put the club as low as you can. So the toe of the club will come off the ground. Now place it in the fingers. It's like picking up a basket of shopping. Whereas if I start with the club high, it wants to fall into the palm. So really easy, little checkpoint, and this will become literally second nature for yourself. Down low, in the fingers, hand on. Now I've got a second lever to help me power up my drives. And in terms of speed, I would say you're looking at an easy 2, 3, 4 miles an hour more from this club head. This one might sound a little bit trivial, but I want to talk about tee height and sort of adjusting that mental thought pattern around the shot, and also just giving you the best scenario of creating that high launch, low spin, and essentially hitting up on the golf ball more. So firstly, I've got my low stinger driver. That's where the top of the golf ball, when I'm teeing it up, sits level with the top of the face, okay? That would be sort of a slower swing speed too. I've then got my fairway finder, where a quarter of the ball sits above the face. But the one we're really bothered about with powering up our driver, that gives us the best chance of hitting up on the ball, creating that low spin scenario, is where I've got a quarter of the ball sitting below the face. Therefore there, it just gives me the best chance of getting shoulder tilt, left ear behind, and there we go. I feel like I can put more into it, hit up on it more, and that's gonna help me power up my driver. This is one you can definitely do from home. Now, don't do this inside, it's one you can do in the garden, but I call it the long swoosh. I want you to think about swinging quicker with gears and just get used to the body and the club head swinging faster. So let's say, right, this is a gear 1 practice swing. Gear 2 would be quicker, gear 3, gear 4, and then gear 5. And once you've worked your way up to gear 5, I want you to do 5 gear 5 practice swings. And the reason why I say long swoosh is, imagine my club head works around the body to hit. As we start down, I want you to hear the swoosh of the club head going through the air from the start of the downswing to the end of the follow through. So let me do a couple of versions here. This would be a good version. You can really hear that swoosh. This would be the bad version. We heard a lot of noise here and not a lot of noise down here. And simply, it's an easy way for you to learn that we've got to throw the speed out towards the ball at the right point. So if we look at this in a technical point of view, why I want you to hear the long swoosh is that a foot after the golf ball, we want the left arm on the golf club lined up. And it's just the simplest way of me going, okay, learn to swing quicker, learn to swing faster, get comfortable at that speed, and get the power working out later, not earlier. It's a simple one. Now, let's take this one away, and you can definitely just take that swing thought into a shot. I'm imagining the longest swoosh possible. Woo! And you know what? It's just a simple swing thought you can rely on, and that's why I like it. Now, I really want to know, actually, what's your average driver distance right now? Let's get down below in the comments. Let's see what it is now at the start. And after trying some of these tips today, maybe all of them, let's see what we can bump it up to. Hopefully we add sort of 10, 15. You think about it, that's literally a club longer or a club less into the green. That's how we lower your scores, by powering up your driver. Now, this is all about the biggest X factor stretch we can create. And simply, it's the line between our shoulders and the line on our hips, the two lines. Now, the bigger stretch we can create between these two lines, so again, my shoulders and my hips, the more potential power we have. And I say potential because we've still got to assume a nice centered strike. So my whole idea of this drill we're going to show you right now is to emphasize my lower half starting down as I'm still swinging the club back in the backswing. Now, so many golfers at club level find this hard because we like to move upper and lower at the same rate as we start down, which results in that unfortunate word, over the top swings. We don't want to talk about them, but it does result in them. So the nice simple drill, and I'll do a few slow ones to start with, is as your hands are swinging back, I want you to practice stepping forward. So roughly when my hands get to around shoulder height, I'm going to take a step forward. I'll do it slow to begin with, a little bit like this. Well, let's now do this next one a little bit quicker. And you're going to really see this in a second. This move. I'm really emphasizing the idea of my hips starting down as my hands are going back to create the biggest stretch between my shoulder line and my hip line. And there's so much research gone into this. The bigger stretch you can create, the more power you're going to have. And like I said, if we can get you a club less into the green, you're going to seriously lower your scores. Next, I want to talk about strike location. Now, sounds obvious, but we want to obviously get the middle of the golf club. Now, where you start has a big impact on where then you strike it. Now, so many of us go, yeah, let's address it out the middle. That's where we're going to hit it. Now, watch this. Because our golf ball is teed up, we usually address with our club on the ground. But when we hit the driver, we're looking to hit the ball on the up. So look, if I start with the ball in the middle, then I raise my driver up, look how now that aligns the ball towards the heel. Now that is one of the slowest parts of the club. So I want you to now do this. I want you to look at the logo on top of your driver if you have one, or I just want you to look at it and go, can I address slightly toe side? Because I know now as I swing the club, we start with it on the ground, as we strike, it'll be in the air. So if we address out the toe, look how that now aligns out the middle by the time I'm striking it. John Rahm's done this, he's spoken about this after his Masters win, and I really want you to think about going, okay, address it out the toe, and that's gonna really help because of physics, get me to strike it out the middle. Nice simple one, but look, think about strike location to maximize ball speed and then therefore driver distance. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite ways to actually get used to swinging quicker. And what I would do is definitely sneak out on the golf course and try this in a real scenario. Obviously you could do it down the range, but a real scenario really does make sense. I want you to hit 3 shots away from me. I want you to hit one at 75%, one at 100%, and then at 110. Now, what I mean by that is you get used to going, okay, this is my fairway finder, this is my all out, and if we're seriously trying to power up our driver, I want you to keep pushing that boundary. So I want you 100%, let's say it's 90 miles an hour now, I want that to be 95 by the time you're halfway through your next season of golf. So let's hit the first one away here. This is going to be what I'm going to class as my personal 75% speed. Smooth, down that fairway, totally under control. I'm then going to grab my next one, and this is where it starts to get a little more. I've really done this with so many students, and I've found they go, oh right, now I know what fairway finder is. Now I know what my upper limit is. So have a little bit of practice swing, put a little more into it. This is what we're going to classify as our 100%. Woo! And before you know it, you will realise you've got a lot more in the tank than you thought you had. And your final one, 110%. It's also like, you'll be surprised. Actually, that 100%, actually at the fairway, you will learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable swinging quicker. And everybody wants to swing quicker, but we need to understand what's our fairway finder speed? And actually, what is our upper limit? Okay, here we go. Let's leave nothing out there. This is my 110%. Woo! And you soon get so much more comfortable swinging quicker. And that's a realistic and practical way to power up your driver. I hope you enjoyed my tips to power up your driver. Don't forget, if you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the Golf Monthly channel to get tips to power up your game.